Hello students, in this video, in this session, we are going to discuss about that unit 9, the performance planning and review. What are all the things involved in this unit? Let me see about the structure. The first one talks about the objectives, and second introduction, and the third one is concept of performance appraisal, and the fourth one is goals of performance appraisal, and the fifth, the objectives of performance appraisal, and next, the performance appraisal process, and the benefits of performance appraisal, and the performance appraisal methods, and performance counseling, and the problems in performance appraisal, and the effective performance appraisal. So let me see one by one. The objectives of this unit is, after completion of the unit, you should be able to understand that concept of performance appraisal and explain the appraisal process and discussed about the benefits of appraisal and describes various appraisal methods and understand the problems in appraisal. Introduction. The performance appraisal helps organization to determine how employees can help to achieve the goals of organization. It has two important activities included in it. First has to do with determining the performance and other with the process of evaluation. In this unit, the concept of performance appraisal and the process involved in it have been discussed. The concept of performance appraisal. Why does the term performance actually mean? Employees are performing well when they are productive. Productivity implies both concern for effectiveness and efficiency, because the effectiveness in terms of refers to the goal accomplishment in terms of qualitative measurements. However, it doesn't speak of that cost incurring in reaching that goal. That is where efficiency comes in. The efficiency evaluates the ratio of inputs consumed to outputs achieved. The greater the output for a given input, the greater the efficiency. It is not desirable to have objective measures of productivity such as hard data and effectiveness, number of units produced, or percent of crimes solved, etc. And hard data and efficiency, average cost per unit or ratio of scales volume to number of calls made, etc. In addition to productivity as measured in terms of effectiveness and efficiency, the performance also includes personal data such as measures of accidents, turnover, absentees, and targeters. So this is a good employee and one who is not only performs well in terms of productivity but also minimize the problems for the organization by being to work on time but not missing the days, and by minimizing the number of work-related accidents. Why we need to appraise that performance of an employee? Appraisals are judged of the characteristic traits and performance of others. On the basis of these judgments, we assess the worth or value of others and identify what is good or bad. An industry performance appraisal is a systematic evaluation of employees by supervisors, so that The employees also wish to know their portion in the organization, and the appraisals are essential for making many administrative decisions: selection, training, promotion, transfer, wages and salary administration, etc. So the performance appraisal thus is a systematic and objective way of judging the relative worth of ability of an employee in performing his task. The performance appraisal helps to identify those who are performing their task, assigned the task well, and those who are not, and the reasons for such performance. The goals of performance appraisal. Conducting that performance appraisal on employees' performance should be more than a simple checklist of do's and don'ts. The performance evaluation should serve as a vital component, one that is of interest to both the organization and the employee. So from the organizational perspective, sound performance appraisal can ensure that correct work is being done, work that assists in meeting department goals. So from the employee perspective, properly operating that performance appraisal system provide a clear communication of working expectations. Knowing what is expected is a first step in helping one to cope better with the stress usually associated with the lack of clear direction. Secondly, properly designed performance appraisal should also serve as a means of assisting an employee's personal development. To make effective performance appraisal a reality, 4 criteria need to be present. These are: the employees should be actively involved in the evaluation and development process. Supervisors need to enter performance appraisal with a constructive and a helpful attitude. Realistic goals must be mutually set. The supervisors must be aware and have knowledge of the employee's job and performance. So that the goals of performance appraisal. To make effective performance appraisals a reality, 4 criteria need to be present. There are: the employee should be actively involved in the evaluation and development process. The supervisors need to enter the performance appraisal with a constructive and a helpful attitude. The realistic goals must be mutually set. The supervisors must be aware and have knowledge of the employee's job and performance. The objectives of performance appraisal. The performance appraisal has a number of specific objectives. They are given below. To review that the past performance, to assess the training needs, to help develop individuals, to audit the skills within an organization, to set targets for future performance, to identify potential for promotion. So what are the objectives of performance appraisal? The performance appraisal has a number of specific objectives. They are given below. To review the past performance of the same employee's data. And we have to assess why the training requires, and we need to help or develop the individuals to the next level, and to audit the skills within an organization, to set targets for future performance, to identify the potential for promotions and other things. So they see it as a stick that management has introduced with which to beat people. Under such situations, a well throughout performance appraisal is doomed to failure. Even if the more positive objectives are built into the system, problems may still arise because they may not able achievable and they may cause conflicts. The performance appraisal process. Following steps are involved in that appraisal process. The appraisal process begins with the establishment of performance standard. They should have worked out of job analysis and the job description. These performance standards should also be clear and objective enough to be understood and measured. Too often, these standards are articulated in some such a phrase as a full day's work or a good job. Vague phrases tells us nothing. The expectations a manager has in terms of work performance by the subordinates must be very clear enough in their mind so that the managers would be able to at some later date to communicate these expectations to their subordinates. The appraisal, their performance against these previously established standards. Once performance standards are established, it is necessary to communicate these expectations. It should not be the part of the employee's job to guess what is expected of them. Unfortunately, too many jobs have weak performance standards. The problem is compounded when these standards are not communicated to the employees. The communication only takes place when the transference of information has taken place, has been received and understood by subordinate. Therefore, feedback is necessary. Hence, information communicated by the manager has been received and understood in the way it was intended. The third step in the appraisal process is measurement of performance to determine what actual performance it is necessary to acquire the information about it. So these are all the performance appraisal process. The fourth step in the appraisal process is a comparison of actual performance with the standard. The attempt in this step is to note deviations between standard performance and actual performance. One of the most challenging tasks facing managers is to present an accurate appraisal to the subordinate and then have the subordinate accept the appraisal in a constructive manner. The impression that subordinates receive about their assessment has a strong impact on their self-esteem. There is no doubt in that. And thus the decisions of the appraisal can have negative as well as the positive motivational consequences. The final step in the appraisal is the initiation of corrective action when necessary. The corrective action can be of two types. One is immediate and deals predominantly with the symptoms. The other is basic and develops into the causes. The immediate corrective action is often described as putting out fires, whereas the basic corrective action gets to the source of deviation and seeks to adjust the differences permanently. The immediate action corrects something right now and get things back on track. Basic action asks how and why performance deviated. The benefits of performance appraisal. What are all the benefits for the organization? What are all the benefits for the employees? What are the benefits for the society? And what are the benefits for the stakeholders? The benefits of an effective appraisal scheme can be summed up under three categories. There are for the organization, for the appraiser, for the appraiser. For the organization, following benefits would occur to the organization: improved performance throughout the organization due to more effective communication of the organization's objectives and values, increased sense of cohesiveness and loyalty, and improved relationship between managers and staff. The improvement in the task performed by each other each member of the staff, the identification of ideas for improvement, the expectations and long-term plans can be developed, training and development needs can be identified more clearly, a culture of continuous improvement and success can be created and maintained, people with potential can be identified, and career development plans can be formulated for future staff requirements. So these are all the points which is included for the organization. For the appraiser, the following benefits would occur to the appraiser. The benefits to develop an overview of individual jobs and departments, identification of ideas for improvements, the opportunity to link team and individual objectives and targets with departmental and organizational objectives, the opportunity to clarify expectations of the contribution the manager expects from teams and individuals, the opportunity to reprioritize targets, and the means of forming a more productive relationship with the staff based on mutual trust and understanding. For the appraisee, the following benefits would occur: increased motivation, increased job satisfaction, increased sense of personal value. The performance appraisal methods. This section looks at how management can actually establish performance standards and devise instruments that can be used to measure and appraise an employee's performance. Critical incident method. The critical incident appraisal focuses the rater's attention on those critical or key behaviors that make the difference between doing a job effectively and doing it ineffectively. What the appraisal does is write down little records that describe what the employee did that was especially effective or ineffective. In this approach to appraisal, specific behaviors are cited, not vaguely defined personal traits or else personality traits. The checklist method. The checklist method, the evaluator uses a bit of behavioral descriptions and checks of those behaviors that apply to the employee. The evaluator merely goes down the list and gives yes or no responses. Once the checklist is completed, it is usually evaluated by the staff of personnel department, not the rater himself. The graphic rating scale method. One of the oldest and most popular method of appraisal is the graphic rating scale method. They are used to assess factors such as quantity and quality of work, job knowledge, cooperation, loyalty, dependability, attendance, honesty, integrity, attitudes and initiative, etc. However, this method is most valid when abstract traits like loyalty or integrity are avoided unless they can be defined in more specific behavioral terms. The four-choice method. The four-choice appraisal is a special type of checklist, but the rater has to choose between two or more statements, all of which may be favorable or unfavorable. The appraiser's job is to identify which statement is most, or in some cases of least, describes of the individuals being evaluated. To reduce the bias, the right answers are not known to the rater. Someone in the personnel department scores the answers based on the key. Next method is behaviorally anchored rating scale method. These scales combine major elements from the critical incident graphic rating scale approaches. The appraisal rates the employee based on items along continuity, but the points are example of actual behavior on the given job rather than general description or traits. Behaviorally anchored rating scales especially specify the definite, observable, and measurable job behavior. Examples of job-related behavior and performance dimensions are generated by asking participants to give specific illustrations on effective and ineffective behavior regarding each performance dimension. These behavioral examples are then retranslated into the appropriate performance dimensions. The group order ranking. The group order ranking requires the evaluator to place employees into a particular classification, such as top 1/5 or second 1/5. Evaluators are asked to rank the employees in the top 5% and the next 5% and next 15%. So if a rater has 20 subordinates, only 4 can be in the top 5th, and of course the 4 must also be relegated to the bottom 5th. Individual ranking. The individual ranking method requires the evaluator merely to list all the employees in order from highest to the lowest. Only one can be the best. The evaluator is required to appraise 30 individuals. Ranking method carries the same pluses and minuses as a group order ranking. The comparison method. The comparison method is calculated by taking the total of n minus 1 divided by 2 comparisons. A score is obtained for each employee by counting the number of pairs in which the individual is a preferred member. It ranks each individual in relationship to all others on a one-on-one basis. And let me see that management by objectives is a process that converts organizational objectives into individual objectives. It can be thought of as consisting of 4 steps: goal setting, action planning, self-control, and periodic reviews. So in goal setting, the organization's overall objectives are used as guidelines from which departmental and individual objectives are set. At the individual level, the manager and the subordinate jointly identify those goals that are critical for the subordinate to achieve in order to fulfill the requirements of the job as determined in job analysis. These goals are agreed upon and then become the standards by which the employee's results will be evaluated. 360-degree performance appraisal method. The 360-degree feedback process involves collecting perception about the person's behavior and the impact of that behavior from the person's boss or the boss's direct reports, colleagues, fellow members of project teams, internal and external members, customers, suppliers, and other names for 360-degree feedback are multi-rater feedback, multi-source feedback, full circle appraisal, and group performance reviews. So the 360-degree feedback is a method and a tool that provides each employee the opportunity to receive performance feedback from his or her supervisor and 4 to 8 peers, subordinates, customers. The purpose of the feedback is to assist each individual to understand his or her strengths and weaknesses, to contribute the insights into the aspects of his or her work needing professional development, and select the rater, use the feedback system properly, and review the feedback, and manage and integrate the process into a larger performance management system. The characteristics of 360-degree performance appraisal system. We must improve that feedback from more sources, provides well-rounded feedback from peers, reporting staff, co-workers, supervisors. This can be definite improvement to overall feedback from a single individual. So the 360-degree feedback can also save the manager's time in that they can spend less energy providing feedback as more people participate in the process. The team development helps team members learn to work more effectively together. Team members know more about how other members are performing than their supervisor, and the multi-rated feedback makes team members more accountable to each other as they share the knowledge that they will provide input on each member's performance. A well-planned process can improve the communication and team development, and the personal and organizational performance development 360-degree feedback is one of the best methods for understanding that personal and organizational developmental needs. The responsibilities for career development. For many reasons, organizations were longer responsible for developing this career of these employees and reduce discrimination risk when feedback comes from a number of individuals in various job functions basis because of varying reasons are reduced. The judgmental errors of the supervisors are eliminated as the feedback comes from the various sources. The improved customer services feedback process involves the internal or external customer. Each person receives valuable feedback about the quality of his products or services. Following benefits of 360-degree appraisal accrue to the individual, team and organization. To the individual and to the team. We'll discuss one by one. This process helps individuals to understand how others perceive them. It uncovers blind spots. It provides feedback that is essential for learning. Individuals can better manage their own performance and career. Quantifiable data on soft skills is made available. To the team, it increases communication between team members. It generates high level of trust and better communication as individuals identify the causes of breakdowns. And third, it creates better team environment as people discover how to treat others and how they want to be treated. And fourth one, it supports teamwork by involving team members in the development process. And last one, it increases team effectiveness. To the organization, to reinforce corporate culture and openness and trust. It provides better opportunities for career development of employees, and employees get growth and promotional opportunities. It improves the customer service by having the customers contribute to the evaluation, and it facilitates the conduct of relevant training programs. Performance counseling. The main objectives of performance counseling is to help the employee to overcome his weaknesses and to reinforce his strengths. In this sense, it is a developmental process where the supervisor and the subordinate discuss the past performance with the view to help the subordinate to improve and become more effective in future. Appraisal reports serve as spring board for discussion. One of the fallout effects of this dyadic interaction is the identification of training needs. Counseling provides an opportunity to the supervisor to give feedback to the subordinate on the performance and performance-related behavior. Feedback can be an effective tool provided both negative and positive feedbacks are communicated. It is not just an opinion, but is backed by data. In other words, it should be descriptive and not evaluative. It to focus on behavior rather than on the individual. It is timely. Delayed feedback is neither helpful nor effective. On the other hand, it might be seen as criticism which may further deteriorate the relationship. As time passes, details are forgotten and recall may be jeopardized by distortions. The career path. One of the most important thing is the particularly potential appraisal is to help employees to move upwards in the organization. People do not like to work on dead-end jobs. So the most HRM practitioners favors restructuring of a job to provide reasonably long and orderly career growth. The career path basically refers to opportunities for growth in the organization. Availability of such opportunities has tremendous motivational value. Those where designations changes to a higher level positions, job remaining more or less than the same. A good example of this is found in teaching institutions, where an assistant professor may grow to become an associate professor and a professor, but the nature of job teaching and research remains the same. The career path in such situations means the changes in status, better salary, benefits, perhaps less load and better working conditions. Those where changes in position bring about the changes in job along with increased salary, status and better benefits and working conditions in many engineering organizations. An employee may grow in the same line with increased responsibilities or may move to other projects with a different job demands. Problems in performance appraisal. Usually the problem from the performance appraisal is the leniency errors and the hollow effect and the similarity errors and low appraiser motivation and the central tendency. So recency versus primary effect. Recency refers to the proximity or closeness to the appraisal period. Generally an employee takes it easy for the whole year and does little to get the punishment. The opposite of recency is primary effect, hence the initial impression influences the decisions on year-end appraisal irrespective of whether the employee has been able to keep up the initial impression or not. First impression is the last impression is perhaps the most befitting description of this error. Effective performance appraisal. The issues raised above essentially focus on the problems of reliability and validity of performance appraisal. In other words, how to know whether what is appraised and what was supposed to be appraised. The supervisors should be told that performance appraisal is an integral part of their job duties and that they themselves should be evaluated on how seriously they have taken this exercise. To help them to this task well, they should be provided systematic training on writing performance report and handling performance interviews. The third one is conduct job evaluation studies and prepare job description rules, develop separate forms for various positions in the organization. And fourth one, design the system as simple as possible so that it is neither difficult to understand nor impossible to practice. Generally, after the appraisal interviews, the employee is left alone to improve his performance on the dimensions. So the supervisor should monitor now and then whether the improvement in performance in the areas found weak is taking place or not. If not, help the employee to achieve the required improvement. Finally, reviewing the appraisal system every now and then, help updating it and making suitable evolutionary changes in it. So these are all the aspects we discussed from that, the performance appraisal. It talks from that the objectives, introduction, and the concept of performance appraisal and the goals of performance appraisal and so on. The meaning of appraisal, goals of performance appraisal. appraisal, the objectives of performance appraisal, and the performance appraisal process, the benefits of performance appraisal, and the performance appraisal methods, and the performance counseling, the problems in the performance appraisal, effective performance appraisal program, and so on, right? So, thank you to you all. We'll discuss the next things in the next few minutes, right? Yeah, thank you.